Well, welcome to the Aging Boomers. I'm your host, Frank Sampson, and on the show we discuss many of the issues facing boomers and what, of course, is an aging population today. And thanks for joining us. We've got, as always, a great guest. We have with us Marc Mendelsohn, who's a friend and a specialist in the healthy and affordable solutions for safe and independent living. Marc is an architectural design professional, certified kitchen designer, certified bathroom designer, California licensed general contractor, and certified green building professional. He has specialized in universal design since 1992 and is considered one of the leading experts in the country. Marc has been featured on The House Doctor and other syndicated networks. Marc, great to have you on.
Thanks, Frank. Great to be here.
Yeah, I know when I was doing just the radio show, and now we've added a podcast to it. We've had you on the show before, and you provide a lot of great information, especially with the people. So many people want to stay at home if at all possible. So I think your work is great. And what led you to get into this type of work?
Well, I would say probably a childhood experience. I befriended a kid of my age at about 11 years old with cerebral palsy at a holiday camp, and just having had my experience in interacting with someone living with a disability, I think it gave me an insight that one might typically not get at that age. And when I finished studying architecture, I decided that I wanted to do design to fulfill a need rather than just to satisfy, someone's wants, which is also obviously, important work, but it didn't excite me nearly as much, and I wanted my design work to be able to make an impact. And so I selected the area of working with people with disabilities and catastrophic illness and the aging population looking to stay in their homes as safely and independently as possible for as long as possible.
Okay, good. I know I mentioned in the intro universal design. I mean, that's a general term, and it's also the name of your organization, right?
Yeah, we originally, in the years when I first started back in the early 90s, we used to call this work barrier-free design, designing without barriers. And then the term universal design came out, and we actually, changed our name at that particular point to universal design specialist, because the definition of universal design in a simple term is it's a design of any space to render that space accessible and usable to all who use it, regardless of age, ability, and disability. And so we felt that it was a very good name for our company, given the fact that we do all of that.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And so give us an idea. Give people that are listening, what type of products generally are we talking about?
Well, we carry a range of supportive equipment, but probably our three biggest categories of products that we provide through our e-commerce website and our local showroom in Sonoma are safe bathing solutions and access. And by this I mean we do the curbless showers that require that enable someone to enter and leave without needing to step over a curb. They're also roll-in. The same thing with the walk-in tubs, which have become very popular as well. We have several different formats of those, and we do automatic door openers. And those are probably our three most popular categories of items that we supply. And then we also have various forms of fold-down support arms and support poles and various forms of grab bars, things like that, anything to aid kind of support at home.
And your experience is pretty much your work done in the bathroom area or in other parts of someone's home?
I would say the bathroom is the most popular area bar everything, really. But then, secondarily, it's safe access in and out of the home and in and around the home. And then really third would be things like doing accessible kitchens and all that, because we have items like adjustable countertops and wall cabinets that, move up and down at at the press of a button. But the truth is that many people would, in many cases, have someone around who could assist them with the kitchen, and so it becomes less of an issue than, say, a bathing area or getting safe access in and out of the home.
I mean, it's pretty known that bathrooms is probably the number one location in the house where falls occur.
Correct, and you know, the impact of falls to our community is really quite staggering, and most, as you correctly alluded to, most of the falls tend to occur in the bathroom.
Yeah. So what do you suggest to people who are looking to maybe add more than just grab bars, looking at these tubs and walk-in tubs but it's not like they could just go on your site, or maybe they can, and just order. They're going to need some advice. Is it the right, size? Is it the right type? I mean, do you get involved from a consultative standpoint as well?
Yeah, there's a couple of different levels of it, Frank. One of them would just be someone who got onto the site and saw a particular tub or shower or opener and wanted some assistance with making sure that what they were going to get was going to be able to be used in their application. And we kind of do that free of charge, and we're just happy to kind of help people to make sure that they get the right product. And so.
Well, it looks like we lost Mark here, so we're gonna try to get him back. Hang on just one second.
Hello, and thank you for calling Safe Aging Solutions. Our showroom is open Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. until...
We'll try again here.
Hello?
Hey, Mark, we have you back?
Yeah, Frank, hang on a second. There's someone who called in on the line. I thought it was you, and I just kind of picked it up. Let me let him know. I'll call him right back. Hang on one second, okay?
Thanks. Well, while we're waiting, if you just joined in, we're talking to Marc Mendelsohn. Marc is the president of company Safe Aging Solutions, as well as Universal Design. And we're talking about walk-in tubs and various things that are needed in a bathroom to help people with just getting around better, decrease the chance of falls for those that want to stay home. So I think we got Mark back.
Yes, and I think, Frank, I know you'd asked the question about, people who need assistance, with product and maybe with kind of design. And what I started to say was that if they're just looking at purchasing equipment and they've got a pretty good sense of what they want and they would like to just make sure, we're certainly available at no charge to consult with them and make sure that what they're planning to do with it and where they're planning to install it will work correctly. We, for example, with our automatic door openers, we spend a lot of time with people making sure that they have the correct equipment, and we actually have them complete a survey to make sure that it will work for them. But we always make sure that people are getting the right equipment, and we're the first to tell them if it's not a good fit. We do not want to have people purchase equipment and have to return it to us. So that's number one. But number two, there are also clients who really require a lot more than just a bit of information on the phone. And I do offer both consulting and design services literally worldwide. I've done work in Mexico, I've done work in Nicaragua, in South Africa, and I've done it all over the United States. And so we are available to do that as well. if the project is a good fit and the budget is there to actually accommodate that.
Okay, great. And so, and maybe we'll mention this again before the end of the interview, but where would people go to learn more about the different products that you sell?
Well, I think, they could start and initiate our website, which is www.universaldesign.specialists with an S on the end, .com. And there's a homepage, and it shows our most popular products, our main products on that homepage. And then if they did want to know anything more about our consulting services or our project management services, there's a tab on kind of design and consulting that they could kind of click on, and they would tell them about it as well. And then if they needed further information, we would recommend either an email or a phone call to me directly.
Great. So you mentioned the door opener. Can you tell us a little more about that, what you were talking about?
Yeah, they become very, very popular, especially in public locations. Essentially, for anyone with reduced mobility who may struggle either in walking in through a doorway or from a sitting position in a wheelchair, what they do is that once installed, they enable the door to be opened automatically at the press of a button, which is normally located on the outside and the inside of the structure. And so anyone coming up to that area can just press the button, the door opens automatically, gives them enough time to enter into the building or leave the building, and then it closes automatically. And the Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA, has been mandating that these be installed in, throughout the U.S. And so we provide a lot of this equipment to public spaces, everything from, churches to hospitals to government buildings. But we also have a unit that's designed for residential home use, and it's a less heavy-duty unit, a little less expensive as well, and it does the same thing except at home, and they normally operate with either little handheld transmitters similar to a garage door opener, a coded keypad, or a wall button. Most of this is wireless, so you don't even need to run electrical to the unit itself.
That's great. That's great. And any new type of products that are coming aboard that you know of that you can share?
Certainly, the walk-in tub industry is evolving all the time. It's become such a popular item that more and more manufacturers are getting into it. And there are a couple of items that are a little bit that not everyone is familiar with. Almost everyone's familiar with the standard step-in walk-in tub, where you step in through a door. And then you step back to kind of close the door and then sit down. But there's also what we call a wheelchair-accessible tub, where instead of stepping into it, you have an outswing wide door that opens out, and it creates a very large aperture for someone to be able to just sit on a seat and slide in. And it works well for people who may be able to do a transfer with some help from a wheelchair, or even larger people who might not be able to get into a regular tub. But then probably the most unique of these is we also have a sliding door tub which sits on a cabinet at about bed height, and it's a regular length tub, whereas the other ones are a little shorter. So it's a full 60-inch tub, and it's nice and deep. And anyone who can get in and out of bed can use this tub. And essentially what happens is you sit at it at bed height virtually, slide back, you slide the door shut, and then when you're done, you slide the door open, and you're getting up from a sitting position rather than down in a low tub that makes it very difficult for people to get in and out.
Great. What about installation? I mean, do you have people that you work with around the country if people need help from an installation standpoint?
The answer is a conditional yes. With automatic door openers, we have in different parts of the country, we have contractors who've actually who've installed our product in the past a number of times, who we are happy to refer to our customers who might need installation being done there. With tubs and showers, normally a local contractor or local plumber does it. In a few areas, we do have, once again, contractors who've ordered from us repeatedly who we can refer to. But generally, our installation base is very strong in the San Francisco Bay Area and a little bit down in Southern California. In the rest of the country, it's not as strong.
Mm-hmm. But you could direct them to types of people who specialize in this.
Yeah, absolutely, and we can certainly lead them in the right direction so that they can contact the right party to be able to install. So a lot of this equipment is not difficult to install. It's really any general contractor, any plumber, any electrician can kind of take care of either the tubs or the door openers, depending on the particular trade.
So somebody might be thinking, this is great. My mom or dad could really use this, but I don't know if we could afford it. I mean, can you give an idea of, what are approximate costs or range for these types of products?
Yeah, I think what I'd like to do is just separate out the supply costs and then talk a little bit about installation, because labor costs vary so much in different parts of the country that it would really depend on what the labor costs would be in that particular area. But certainly in California, I could kind of address that. So as far as products go, typically your residential door openers start in and around about the $1,000 range. The commercial door openers start in and around about the $1,500 range. The walk-in tubs start in the high $2,000s, low $3,000 range. Mm-hmm. The showers are going to be in about the low $2,000s to kind of mid $3,000s. And then installation really, once again, depends on where you're at. But in California, an automatic door opener normally gets installed if it's just a single unit in about a half a day. So whatever the labor rate is going to be for a half a day. 2 units can go in a day, and a tub installation can take anywhere from 3 to 5 days to install it. Same thing with a shower, and once again, depending on kind of labor rates in the particular area. But that's the time rate that normally takes to do these.
Right. So what are some of the challenges you have? I mean, as far as obviously you're doing a lot of good for people, and probably since falls are probably is really the number one reason for death, actually, of seniors. You're saving a lot of lives out there. But what are some of the challenges you experience in this type of business?
That's a really great question, Frank, because I think there is a very common challenge that most of us are dealing with, and probably the biggest single challenge that we're facing is kind of denial. And it tends to come, I speak to more the adult children of seniors than I do to seniors themselves, who come on in and they are so worried about their parents because their parents have either taken a fall or will be shortly, based on how shaky they're getting with their mobility, and the parents just do not want to accept that they kind of need assistance. And so they come on in every day asking us, how do we get our parents to do something valuable in their home to prevent the fall, because they're aware of the statistics. And I would say that even when I'm dealing with a lot of seniors, a lot of times if they come on in themselves, they're looking at the bare minimum, and it's normally not even a case of cost. It's normally it tends to be more a case of just accepting one's vulnerability and that you need help. And a lot of times I've found that they don't want to accept that. As you probably be well aware, being in this business too, is that falls are the leading cause of injury-related visits to the emergency room, and the primary cause of 75% of accidental deaths in people over 65. So it's huge. Yeah,
and it's, in a sense, this is preventive medicine.
Yeah, it's the cost of doing even something small. It's so little compared to the cost of not doing anything. And even if you were to do a major remodel to accommodate your needs, and we recently finished a project for a lady with MS, and we've remodeled 3/4 of their house for them, it's still going to be a lot less for her and her husband than her living in some type of facility for the rest of her life.
So what about Medicare? I mean, what's your experience there? Where I would think that... I don't know, but I would think that maybe Medicare does cover some of these things. What's your experience been?
I haven't found very much at all, Frank. It seems to be very little that is covered. Sometimes there's a certain amount of equipment that is, but it has to be very specific to that particular equipment. I have, for example, a very effective piece of lifting equipment called a MoLift, Smart Lift, and it folds up very small. It's attractive. You can travel with it, and it's not covered by Medicare yet. There's another unit called a Hoyer that's big and ugly, and you can't fold it small or anything like that. That is. So it tends to be equipment specific, and there's not a lot of it. And then the other thing is that if you do work with Medicare, you really have to have someone who can process the paperwork. And I know a particular organization, a DME supplier, who has a full-time person who does nothing but process paperwork for Medicare, Medicaid.
Yeah, so you said that the lift that you have folds up.
It folds up really small, and you can actually even travel with it. You can. It has wheels on the bottom, and it has a hard carrying case. So I had a client in one area in Marin County who traveled to Florida to visit with her mother, and she had MS, and she purchased one from us, and her husband would put her on the plane, and she had her mobile lift with her wherever she went, and so it really gave her a lot of independence and a lot of assistance to the family.
Does it accomplish the same thing as a Hoyer lift?
Yes, it does.
Wow.
It actually even accomplishes more, in doing that, because there's more that you can actually do with it. But it's a fantastic piece of equipment, and yet it's not covered.
Sounds to me like a education process.
I think so, because I found that not even a lot of the occupational therapists or physical therapists are kind of aware of it. When they see it, they get very excited. I have one in my Sonoma showroom, and I show them how easy it is to fold it up and how small the space it takes when it's in the folded position and how easily you can move around with it, and they really get excited when they see that.
Yeah. So what advice could you give somebody who's listening to us right now, and they've got mom or dad, they're aging, they're not quite there yet, they're, maybe mom or dad's had a fall before, never got really injured, they're still living pretty independently. What suggestions do you have that people are in that situation, which is a lot of people?
Yeah, it is a lot of people, and I think I would start, we actually have a sheet that we give out to people. It's a one-page sheet that talks about the statistics with falls and how it really impacts people as they age, and they're not my statistics, they're national organizations like ARP and everything else who've established these statistics. And I think what I would do is I would start by addressing that with a parent and really coming from a point of view of love and caring for them and being concerned, and because one has to be really sensitive when kind of dealing with a parent about this, because once again they don't want to accept that they're vulnerable in doing this, but just to say, look, these are national averages, and while we hope it will never be your case, these are things that really concern us, and let's do a little bit of prevention now to save a possibility in the future of some major harm if we don't.
Yeah, I know you got a strong background, but it's you're not in psychology per se, though it takes a little bit of psychology in this in our business. But what have you seen and with families that you work with on a good approach that they've taken with a loved one? Because I think that most seniors would say, I don't need that, I'm fine. Well, what are you spending money for? I'm fine. I would think. So what have you seen adult children in dealing with their parents to try to ease them into this? Any suggestions?
Well, most of the time I've very seldom seen an adult parent agree to do something when they haven't had a fall or anything. Just as a precautionary measure, it tends to be few and far between. And in doing that, most of the responses that I've seen is when a parent has fallen once or twice, and they have to accept that they're going to need some assistance. Then I've seen them being willing to listen to their children more. But in some cases, what happens, what does help, is to bring out an outside specialist, who can come on in, and I know people who work with elder law and other specialists who can actually come on in and have a conversation with the parent. I mean, I have a family friend who is she's like an adopted mother for me here, and she's 80. She's going to be 86 this year. And I know her daughters have a really hard time having her agree to do anything, but she'll listen to me more than she will with her daughters because she knows I'm an expert in the field.
Right.
And so she's done some of the things that I have suggested just because she looks at me differently to the way she does with her two daughters.
Yeah, it's a real good point.
Yeah.
Well, Marc, it's been great having you on. Sorry we got cut off there somehow and all this technology, but great information. And why don't you just tell our listening audience if they wanted to contact you, visit your site, how would they go about doing that?
Yeah, sure. Thanks first of all, Frank, for being on. I always love kind of talking with you. And I don't know if you've heard this, but there's some emergency going on. There's some big emergency vehicles going by all the time.
I thought they were coming to get you.
What's that?
I thought they were coming to get you.
No. It has nothing to do with me. But if you need to contact me, my toll-free number is 800-481-1808. I'll repeat, 800-481-1808. You can get me via email at Marc, M-A-R-C, at universaldesignspecialists.com. Don't forget the S on the end, please. universaldesignspecialists.com. And if you're local, 707-343-7008, 707-343-7008.
Well, great, Marc. Thanks so much for joining us and on the Aging Boomers, and we'll have you on again. And thanks for joining in today. And you can go to my website at theagingboomers.com. We're also on iTunes now, so you go onto iTunes, just type in the Aging Boomers, and you'll be able to listen to Marc's interview and others we've had. So be safe out there, and we'll talk to you next week.